Let's start this bulletin with our top focus this hour. Tragic visuals are coming to the fore from Haneda Airport in Japan's capital, Tokyo. A Japan Airlines flight carrying around 400 passengers was seen going up in flames, this after a collision with a Coast Guard aircraft. Footage shows flames coming out from beneath the aircraft right after it touched down, and reports also suggest that all the passengers were evacuated safely, but the 5 crew members of the Coast Guard aircraft are unaccounted for. Japanese media has also reported that the plane JAL 516 had taken off from the Hokkaido airport in Japan, and the Coast Guard said that it is right now investigating the possibility that one of its aircraft collided with a passenger jet. My colleague Srinjoy joins us on the broadcast to get us more information on this. Srinjoy, this is of course one of the most busiest routes in Japan. We're talking about the Haneda airport, which gets a lot of air traffic. What do you think is the reason? We are still waiting for an official confirmation on the cause of this, but from what the reports that are coming in right now, what they point at is a potential lapse of communication as far as the ATC is concerned.
Yes, there's clearly an error of some kind, either between the ATC and the pilot or something else, because a collision at Haneda, which is one of the busiest airports in the world, is catastrophic. And very clearly, you saw the pictures of the plane in flames. It's actually almost miraculous that all the passengers are safe and they have been pulled out. It's remarkably successful, actually, this rescue operation of all the passengers. They must still be absolutely shell-shocked because the fire that the plane was engulfed in was actually fearsome. Now, the Coast Guard plane has also been hit. And as you rightly said, several or at least one of the Coast Guard personnel are unaccounted for. Let's hope that he or she is safe, because it's very, very critical that such accidents do not happen. They never do usually. But this time, strangely enough, whatever the error is, there must be an inquiry eventually. It will eventually say what was responsible, what led to it. Was it the pilot's fault? Was it the ATC controller's fault? Was it a lack of communication? All of this will be known later. But at this point, the important thing is to ensure that all passengers, all crew are safe.
Right, Shinjoy. Of course, from what you're saying, this, of course, is one of the most busiest airports in the world. And the fact that there were so many passengers involved makes it even more devastating. But the reports that we're getting at this point in time is that all of them have been rescued, which in itself will be a miraculous rescue, given the fact that there was a very, very small window for the rescue operations. And all of that is very visible with the visuals that we have. Talking of the visuals, I'm also joined in by Shreya, who's joining us from the newsroom to get us more information on this. Shreya, we've got a bunch of videos. We've been able to string it together. Help us understand the sequence of events. What exactly led to the accident? How immediate was the response of the rescue teams? And also, what's the current status as far as the Haneda airport is concerned?
Ashish, so remember, Japan has not had a very good start to the new year. 2024 saw Japan first getting multiple earthquakes and a tsunami warning. And then, of course, this happened. Reports suggest around 5:55 p.m. in the evening, Japan saw this shocking incident that came to the fore. Lots of videos circulating on social media, reports suggesting that there could have been a collision. This, remember, is the plane. And you see the inside visuals of what exactly happened during this fire incident is what we're getting you on Mirror now. This plane landing at the Haneda airport, it was coming from Hokkaido to Haneda. It's basically a distance of about 1.5 hours. That plane landed and caught fire, and reports seem to suggest, as you rightly put, that there could have been a collision with a Coast Guard aircraft. We don't know yet. There has not been an official word yet. But this is what happened. That crash apparently happened. Now, whether it was, a potential ATC miscommunication or the Coast Guard aircraft miscalculated the distance between that aircraft and the Japan Airlines JAL 516 aircraft that landed that time, we'll have to wait more details that come in from Tokyo. But right now, as we're showing you this aircraft, JAL 516, completely in flames. Thankfully, fortunately, 379 passengers and crew members have been evacuated safely. Now, Ashish, remember, this could be a potential disaster. It thankfully is not, considering the fact that all passengers have been evacuated. One of the worst tragedies have been averted. But at the same time, I think we'll also have to give it to the crew members to actually have acted so swiftly that they could, in a matter of a few seconds, under minutes, they could evacuate all the passengers as well as all the crew members evacuated themselves from this aircraft that burst into flames and became a fireball. Remember, Japan has not seen this kind of a disaster, this kind of an commercial airline disaster in decades. Back in 1985, it saw a JAL jet jumbo in this kind of a disaster where it had collided, it had, burst out in the Gunma region where all 529 passengers and crew members had died. But thankfully, in this tragedy, in this shocking incident, all 379 passengers have been evacuated. Now, these visuals, this is the time when this plane was landing. These visuals are circulating on social media, on Mirror now. We're getting you the latest on this incident. As soon as it landed, it caught fire and immediately burst into flames a few seconds later. The passengers on board, you can see, all in panic. There was a lot of smoke inside the aircraft. Thankfully, all of these passengers have been evacuated. Right now, as we speak, the aircraft is still in flames and more than 70 fire tenders are at the spot to douse the flames.
Right, Shreya, I'll have to interject you there. I'll just ask our team to play the visuals of the landing. We are also focusing on the sequence of events that have come in. Shreya, help us understand the landing sequence. I'll just ask our team to play the initial visuals. They're right there on the screen behind you. Help us understand what exactly happened as it landed, because we clearly see that the aircraft touching something. Now, whether it was the Coast Guard aircraft or was it some other object, we'll find that out as the course of investigation goes on. Help us understand the visuals that you have right behind you of the aircraft landing and potentially hitting something on the way, on the runway.
Yeah, Ashish, so, this is exactly around 5:55 p.m. as reports suggest when that landing happened at Tokyo at the Haneda airport, one of the busiest airports of Japan. Let's play those visuals again where we're seeing the landing of that aircraft that caught fire. It landed, and it seems to suggest, these visuals seem to suggest that as soon as it landed, there was something there, possibly an aircraft. Reports suggest it could be a Coast Guard aircraft that was waiting to fly off from there, take off from there. But when a passenger plane lands and another aircraft is waiting, there is a certain demarcation that happens between the two aircraft that is landing and one which is waiting to take off. Perhaps that distance could have not been followed, that guideline would have not been followed. But these are all speculations, Ashish. We don't have the official word yet out from Japan, but the visuals seem to suggest, of course, that there could have been a collision. And of course, like you rightly said, and Srinjoy was also saying that 5 Coast Guard officials, 5 Coast Guard crew members are unaccounted for. So we'll really have to see how this incident really panned out and get the official confirmation on every minute that took place at the Haneda airport, right, that you can see on your screens. Back to you, Ashish.
Right, Shreya, right. This is, of course, the series or sequence of events that you were explaining there. And from what we understand right now is the fact that there was a very small window for the rescue operations to go on. And the fact that all of them, as per reports, have been rescued is a miraculous task in itself. But also the focus will be on the people, the crew at the Coast Guard aircraft as well. From what we understand, 5 people are unaccounted for. Whether this was an error on the end of the pilot or whether this was some sort of a communication lapse as far as the ATC is concerned, that will only be clear once the investigation is out. Appreciate you joining us on the broadcast and helping us understand the series of visuals that are coming in and also helping us make sense of what's happening on ground at the Haneda airport right now. Let's shift our focus now to our other top story.